Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today for our We Are Who We Serve with the Cohen's Veteran Network event. My name is Andrew Santos, and I am a psych tech with the Stephen A. Cohen Military Family Clinic at Endeavors in San Antonio. And I am joined here by two of my colleagues. I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves, Ms. Taylor and Mr. Ben.
Hi, I'm Taylor Waldner, and I'm the Outreach Director for the Stephen A. Cohen Military Family Clinic at Alaska Behavioral Health. So our clinic is located in Anchorage, Alaska.
And hello, everybody. I'm Ben Miranda, and I oversee outreach operations for our Stephen A. Cohen Military Family Clinic here in El Paso, Texas.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining us today. I know we're all busy during the holidays, but we really wanted to touch on this special topic during the holiday season, which is going to be holiday wellness and self-care. So I guess the first question to just kind of break the ice a little bit is what any specific plans for the holidays or maybe any holiday traditions that y'all like to do? I can go ahead and say that I'll start it off and just say that I will be with my daughter making tamales with my family. Old school, 2-day process, doing the everything with the husk and everything, drying it all out, and it's a great time to bring the family together. And with the hecticness of the whole year and everything that's been going on, it's a good time to just reconnect and talk and just be with each other. Honestly, during the holidays, do y'all have any certain traditions or plans for the holidays?
Yeah, along the side of you, I just want to pause, rest, reflect, enjoy time with family, eat a lot, cook a lot, and just go with the flow. Yeah, I really, we do have our traditions that we celebrate, but I really just want to be able to take a moment and reflect of all our accomplishments of 2021 and just be able to soak it all in and just enjoy the holiday season.
Yeah, I think for me, being away from my family now all the time, I really look forward to going back home to Austin, Texas. So not too far away from you two, but one of our favorite things to do is on Christmas Eve. Typically, we go to a church service, and then after we go to kind of a hibachi style restaurant. And we always invite a lot of friends. Typically, it's just my immediate family, but we always bring friends who might just, they've kind of jumped onto our tradition with us. And so it's been really special to be able to look forward to seeing those really good family friends and celebrating with them.
Yeah, it's great. It really is great to spend the holidays with your friends and family. It's just the time almost brings it more. It's closer, more intimate. You don't get that time, during the year with all the stressfulness. Like Ben said, you're winding down the year, trying to get a little relaxation in before you got to start it all over again in the next year, right? So, what are some ways the holiday season can be stressful for y'all, and what do you do to cope?
The holiday season can be, for me personally, it's stressful. As a matter of fact, I was having this conversation with Gabby, with my wife today, that for me, the holidays are very stressful because everybody is going 100 miles an hour. You go to a convenience store, you go shopping, you go to the mall, and right now it is packed. So for me personally, I have to be able to realize not to enter into an environment or a situation that's going to be overly stressful to me. So I got to manage that and I got to balance that. Even though I want to enjoy the holidays, I want to be able to see my family members opening up presents, eating, and everything else. But everything that happens to get to that moment, I have to be very cognizant that I don't walk into a situation that I'm going to be so stressed. So I always say this, I only have to worry about buying a present to one person, and that's my wife, because she does all the other shopping for everybody else in my family. And she loves doing those things. It's stressful for her as well. So the brunt of the stress for me just lies on getting it right for one person, not for multiple people. So I just have to be very careful and cognizant that I don't walk into stressful situations, that I recognize that if it's going to be stressful, that I remove myself from that environment and just wait probably another day or another time, or choose a better time for me to go and do whatever I need to do for the holiday season.
Thank you, Ben. Yeah, you're right, for sure. It can be very stressful, and knowing and being cognizant of that, and kind of how to work around it, because it comes once a year, right? It's going to happen every year. So, what about you, Taylor?
I catch myself getting really excited, kind of ramping up to see my family. I want to make sure that I go through my to-do list, make sure everything is ready and I'm completely prepared. And I know even at the airport, right? It's really easy to kind of maybe snap at your partner or, get really annoyed or flustered if things just don't go your way, especially with travel lately has been crazy, with flight changes, cancellations. And for me, it can be anxiety inducing. And so I think even when I traveled for Thanksgiving, I just was really mindful, no, this is not worth worrying about. I'm gonna check in my bags. We're just gonna go to the gate. We're gonna hang out, and it's not gonna be stressful. And luckily, it went really well. So I think just being mindful in those moments makes a really, really big difference.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what both of y'all touched on is just the stress that you get from the holidays. And I know myself, I think of like being consistent with my self care, because during the holidays, you get so overwhelmed. You got a million things going on. Most people got to buy a million presents for everyone. Ben, you're the exception, but most of us all have to buy a lot of gifts and, still work. And then, kids are out of school. You got to watch them. So, just trying to stay consistent with my self-care routine of getting enough sleep. I like to ride my bike as a self-care, uh, exercise that I do, meditation, anything that I can just try and do to make sure I don't get off of that consistent self-care routine, because it can be hard to get back into it, and then you're getting really overwhelmed with all the stress, the more stress that you get from the holidays. So I'm just really staying consistent with that. So thank you all for sharing. So, do you ever feel overwhelmed with too many social events and obligations? And what do you do to help yourself feel better?
Yeah, I don't necessarily get overwhelmed because I mentally prepare myself, especially during this time of period, understanding and knowing that there's, individual offices and work centers, family gatherings, they're going to happen during this season. So I mentally prepare myself that if I'm invited to go somewhere, especially if it's a social, that I get mentally prepared, that I get ready, that I understand why I'm going and what's my purpose of being there, whether it's connecting with my family, whether it's a stakeholder event, whether it's a social event with a referral partner that refers into the Cohen Clinic. So so I don't want to say that I feel overwhelmed because I manage it and I understand the purpose of why it's happening because people want to celebrate, people want to get together, people want to have fun. So so there is a lot of obligations, but I prepare myself for those things that are happening.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Ben. What about you, Taylor?
I mean, I would kind of echo that. I know that, especially if you only have a certain amount of time, whether it be when family is visiting or you are visiting, it can feel like you want to see everybody throughout that duration of time. And once you actually start trying to put that into practice, it's really, really hard. Part of taking vacation, taking time off, is to recharge, and I think you really have to be intentional with your time. Maybe do a larger gathering with more of your family and friends, so that you have more of that time to spend, maybe with more just immediate family or really close friends, or again, just sleep in a few days. Continue to take care of yourself because it's the most important, and you want to be your best self when you are able to re-engage with family and friends.
Exactly. Exactly. And I don't want to be that person that echoes the same thing, but I mean, kind of like what you and Ben were touching on, just preparation and being prepared. It's going to be a stressful time. Like Ben said, holidays are not just a stressful time for you as a person, but for everyone that has, in the holidays. So me, I'm a big stickler on scheduling and notes and reminders and all that stuff. But it really kind of gets put in overdrive during the holidays because I don't want to fall behind on that stuff. So I try and do my Christmas shopping early. I try and put my, have my schedule a little bit further planned out, so I can make sure I'm not overlooking anything. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, too, I just try and be grateful for that time because, um, you know, that you're with your family, and it can be stressful. That mindset that you have with it, if you look at it in a good light and say, hey, I get to spend this time with my family, then it's a little bit, I think, a little bit easier to mentally get through that. So, so another question, kind of off that last question, is it okay to say no if you're asked to attend too many events?
Definitely. Yes. Yeah. But I think it's important to note that if you're going to say no, for you to be able to explain why you're saying no, and just be honest. I want to be able to, spend more time during the holiday season with my family, or maybe it's because I want to put a little bit more priority during this event. But it's okay to say no, like with anything else. But I think explaining why you're going to excuse yourself from an event or a social holiday gathering, I think it's safe to do that.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you don't want to come back from the holidays not feeling rested and feeling like your social media meter has run out. I mean, you want to make sure that you are pacing yourself as you're able to see your friends and family. But saying no is essential, especially during this time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, self-care and still trying to maintain that and knowing your limits. And in the holidays, like you said, Taylor, you don't want to go into the new year worn out from, finishing out the end of the year. So I agree, just knowing, when to say no. And then, like you said, Ben, explaining yourself and why hey, I need to get a little extra sleep. I haven't slept for, 2 or 3 days. Hey, it happens, especially parents and family members that got, younger kiddos there. They're moving, and you realize that during the holidays, they got a lot more energy than you might think they do. So how can you support your family if they are feeling stressed?
I think just stepping in and helping. If you have a family member who typically does the cooking or gift wrapping or whatever it may be, and if you're hanging out maybe a little too much, maybe step in and say, hey, how can I lift this weight off your shoulders? I know that you're stressed and you work just as hard as I do. And I think creating that balance, even within your family, could be incredibly helpful. And just stepping in, and it could be for the small things.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. It's being a support element and understanding where you can support, where you can step in and just say, I got it. Let me take care of this for you right now.
Exactly. And not just being that physical support, but that emotional and verbal support as well. Like, hey, like everyone handles stress and holiday stress differently. So, hey, like we'll get through this, or, hey, you need a helping hand, or, how can I help? Sometimes they just, you got a family member that just needs to vent or something. They want to talk about it. Just being that, like you said, Ben and Taylor, just being that support overall, all around. And that's what this time is supposed to do, is bring our families together. We don't want our families to be stressed. So just letting them know, hey, we're together. And that's honestly the most important thing at the end of the day. So have you ever been apart from loved ones over the holidays, and what did you do that year to make the most of it?
I have various times, throughout the 25 years that I served in the military, there was various times where I was TDY or where I was deployed, and it was during the middle of the holiday seasons. So what I did is, you got to make the most of it. I remembered the reason behind celebrating a season, and really honed in of the special moment and the meaningful impact of why we're celebrating. For example, I celebrate Christmas, and the meaning for me is very special, and really focusing on the true meaning of for me, and making that personal relationship from my faith-based perspective, and really connecting with my family at many levels, whether it's a letter, whether it's a card, or it's still sending a present to one of my children, or receiving a gift from one of my children from across the world. There's definitely still ways that I connected, but really always focusing, whether I was physically present with my family or not. It was, for me, is always focusing on the reason behind why we're celebrating and the reason why there's a holiday.
Yeah, and I agree, Ben. I think it's hard for, family to be away from loved ones during the holidays, especially when that's supposed to be the time when everyone's together. But making the best of it in that situation. I know as a kid, when my dad was overseas, and I didn't get to see him. A little thing I would do is I wrote him a card. I didn't know, I try and write it ahead of time to make sure he got it for the Christmas time. But wrote him a card, or of course, even if we weren't able to be together during that time, calling, FaceTiming, whatever might have been available. And FaceTime wasn't available back then, but just anything to connect, and to let them know, hey, I know you understand you can't be here. You're loved, and we miss you, and hopefully we'll see you soon. But just making the best of it. Honestly, it's unfortunate that happens, but you know, um, you gotta kind of do what you can to look at it in the best perspective, and maybe in that sense, kind of use that to, so when you do that, see that person, you can celebrate even more, because you get to see that your loved one again. Um, not for that specific time, but you do get to see him again, which is great as well. So, would you like to touch anything on that, Taylor?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that I've been the one that's away, but I know that during the last holiday season, my boyfriend was still stationed out in Kadena in Japan, and that was really hard. I feel like the holidays, of course, I mean, the theme that we're hearing here is that it's supposed to be about family and sharing that time with your loved ones. And I think when they're not able to be there with you, it absolutely makes it a bit harder. And so there are little things that you can do. I mean, I remember we were opening up gifts, and I wanted to make sure that he was on FaceTime so that he could still kind of be present. I mean, obviously it's quite different, but and on the other side of that, I think my family has always just invited those who don't have family around, whether their family's out of state, they didn't want to travel. I think being mindful of those who do go through those kinds of experiences, and being able to welcome them into your home and to be part of that, I think that is it can be very, very impactful.
Yeah, exactly, and just the little things like that you said, Taylor, did can really make a big difference. So are there any self-care tips that any of you practice maybe more during the holiday times, or that any self-care recommendations that you may have for anyone that has trouble, calming down, relaxing, getting that mindfulness kind of going during the holiday time? Because, we got a lot going on and we're always running around. Um, is there anything that y'all would recommend for just, maybe something that you do to just help yourself relax during the holidays, or, um, you know, anything that y'all might be able to touch on that?
Yeah, for me specifically, what works for me personally is continuing to stick to my to my routine. I'm a type of person that really likes routine, and understand what my day is going to look like. And I know that during the holiday season, you got to be very flexible. There's a lot of changes. There's a lot of things happening during the last month of the year as people celebrate, take time off, reflect, want to be with family, want to enjoy the moment. So, but for me to be able to really practice self-care and really be aware of my mental health state is sticking to my routine, and really understanding what works for me, because I know that this time of the year is very busy. There's a lot of movement parts. People are closing things for the year, getting and anticipating what's going to come in the following year, and even prepping up, you know, for when you come back on January the 3rd into the office, or January the 2nd, whenever that is, and really understanding what that's going to look like and preparing that before you take that well rested time off. So it's really sticking to my routine, understanding where I'm at, but at the same time knowing that I'm going to have to be very flexible because there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's the beauty of the holidays, is there's always so much to do. And like you said, what you touched on, Ben, consistency and staying with what works for your routine. Um, I know me during the holidays, I catch myself. I feel like I tend to sleep more, maybe catching up on that sleep that I lost. But I'm really mindful of my sleeping habits, trying to get that sleep when I can, because once that new year starts up and you're busy and you're going a million miles an hour again, it can be hard to make sure you're staying in that routine and getting a good night's rest. So me, I try and enjoy my sleep, and that's one thing that I sleep is important. I know there's people out there that, hey, I can live off 3 hours of sleep. Yeah, trust me, we all can, but it catches up to you, and not just physically, mentally as well, emotionally. That sleep is a huge thing in self care that is really important, and that I would really recommend everyone get your rest, because it really is it. And you see how much it helps you when you do get a night's sleep compared to when you don't. It really does make a big difference. Taylor, do you have anything that you maybe practice a little bit more on? Any self care tips that you have for during the holidays?
Yeah, routines are great. Continuing to maybe go to the gym and do some of those practices while you are enjoying family time. But I would say I'm a big believer in, just taking an hour to myself each day, whether it's at the beginning of the day or the end. Typically, I like it to be the end of the day, kind of winding down, but taking that time to just process everything that happened in the day, and enjoy that peace and quiet. That's pretty helpful for me, especially if I am going to, lots of different social gatherings. It really helps me recharge by doing that. So, sticking to some routines and taking that time to intentionally wind down.
Yeah, exactly. You really, especially during the holidays, you have to make sure you're getting that wind down period, because otherwise you're going, like you said, into the new year with all that pent up energy and craziness going on in your life. So for sure, definitely agree with that. How do you get ready for the new year during the holidays, and what do you do for your mental health?
As I stated, it's really sticking to what works for me. Routine, being flexible, understanding that there's going to be a lot of demand, especially from the work perspective and the work-life balance, closing out the year, getting ready to start the new year. So it's really keeping things in perspective and understanding that the people during this time want to enjoy the moment. And I got to be able to either be part of that or provide that and understand that this is the perfect time for someone just to say, okay, I need to take a deep breath, recharge, and be ready for what's coming in the new year.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what you touched on there, Ben, your breathing exercises. I mean, one of those, sometimes you just take a deep breath and gather your thoughts, because like you said, we all have that focus and we want it all to go to well. But sometimes, during the holidays, things happen, things don't go the way you plan, and not letting that, I guess, overwhelm you or disappoint you. Just being grateful for the time that you do have with your family, and when getting to be with your family, friends during the holidays. I think that's huge, because sometimes I feel like when my mind's racing, I just got to take a step back, breathe, gather my thoughts, and then kind of redirect myself, and able to focus on what I got to get done. So, anything on your end, Taylor, or anything you'd like to add to that?
I think for those who travel for the holidays, I know one of the things that I like to do is have a few extra days after I fly back into town, to regroup, get back into the swing of things, fill up the fridge, hit the gym once again, and kind of just, I feel like that's my way of mentally preparing, just giving me that time where I'm not, flying in late Sunday night and then having to go to work first thing in the morning. It makes it a lot easier, less stressful, and, it definitely helps my mental health for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Mhm.
Thank you, Taylor. And so, what would you say to someone who is struggling with isolation or loneliness during the holidays, or someone that has experienced loss of a loved one? How can we help them at the Cohen Clinics?
I would like to say, I think one of the things where we can help, and a piece of advice that I can give is it's important to reconnect, especially if if anybody's has experienced a time of isolation because they've lost a loved one, or they're lonely, or they're struggling with whatever aspect of their life they're struggling with. It's important to connect. And one of the things that we do very, very well throughout all the Cohen clinics that we have throughout the network is we love to stay connected with our community and our veterans and the families. Just to give you an example from El Paso, and I'm sure a lot of other clinics are doing this. It doesn't matter whether it's December or it's July. We're always here to be staying connected with our veterans and their families. Because, for example, just last week, we were doing a cooking class for veterans and their families. We were doing a paint therapy class. We did a couples class. We're doing a reconnect class. We want to make sure, and I want to make sure that all the veterans throughout all our communities and their families know that at any time they can reach out to us, because we can connect them to a multiple of resources, whether it's a life skill, whether it's a support group, whether it's counseling services at the Cohen Clinic, or they need another level of resource in their community. We are here to help. So connect with us. We're here. If there's no wrong door approach to us, if a veteran or a family member in an active duty family comes into our doors, we will help. We will stop what we're doing. We will make a connection with you, and we will help you. So don't feel like you're at this alone. Know that we're here to help.
Exactly. Exactly. And I can touch on that, Ben. You're not alone. Even though it may feel like you're alone here, you got Cohen Clinics, like Ben said. We will listen to you. If you want to just talk, we can do. Just talk. Sometimes you just got to get that voice out there and speak your mind. We have, we're integrated clinic, so we have great case managers at all of our clinics that can provide resources. If you're looking for additional resource in the community, we're not going to ever, do a kind of closed door approach. Our door is open. We are, here to assist anyone with any questions they may have, resources. And that's what makes the Cohen Clinic so great, is that, like Ben said, we are tied to our communities. For veteran service members, they're normal people just like me and you, and they live, they're our neighbors, our friends, everyone. So, being able to connect with them and, just let them know that you're there for them. It goes a long way for sure. Anything you'd like to touch on that, Taylor?
Yeah, I think it's important to ask for help, regardless of how hard that can be. I know a lot of us struggle with that. And, if you are feeling a bit isolated, a bit disconnected, please ask for help. Of course, the Cohen Clinic is an incredible resource within all of our communities. But being able to at least, take that first step. I know it's not easy, but that's kind of how we start the process. I know I personally hate asking for help, and I don't do it too often, but every time I do it, I am humbled, and I know that I can't do it alone. And I think everyone should ask for help.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's important to also note that throughout the Cohen Veterans Network, a lot of our team members are veterans, military family members, spouses of veterans, spouses of active duty service members, or just having a personal relationship with someone who has served. So know that if you reach out to any of our clinics throughout the network, know that you're going to be served by someone that truly understands the military and veteran community. And that's what we pride ourselves in, that we have that personal connection with our veteran and military community. Our staff members, many of them are veterans or families of veterans. And so know that we are here especially for you. We understand where you're coming from. We understand where you're at. Many of us have experienced, to the moment of life where you're currently at. So know that you're coming into a very safe place by contacting us, and let us be that support element to you for many aspects of your life.
Thank you, Ben. Yeah, and if anyone is interested in the community or any veterans or service members, how would they be able to get in contact with the Cohen Clinics over the holidays?
All they have to do is call. Everything starts with a phone call. So I know we had put the link up before, but all you have to do is search for your area, find the closest clinic, and just give us a call. We are more than happy to meet you where you're at and get you in as quickly as possible.
Exactly.
And to add to that, to Taylor's point, even though if you're not physically present, where one of our clinics is at, know that we also do telehealth.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, in the state of Texas, we have 4 clinics: Dallas, Killeen, San Antonio, and El Paso. You don't necessarily have to be physically present in one of those 4 locations. If you're anywhere in Texas, you can be connected to one of our clinics, and we will provide you the contact and the service via telehealth. I mean, just imagine, just look at this wonderful network. We have representation right now from Texas all the way to Alaska. So our network spans pretty big throughout the United States. So contact us. That's what we're here for.
Exactly. Thank you, Ben. And if you're not exactly sure what area, what clinic might be closest to you, if you go to cohensveterannetwork.org and put in your zip code, it will show you all the locations. It should be on the screen right now if you can see it. But those are all the available locations. And of course, like Ben said, even if you're not in that city, all of the clinics offer telehealth where we can still work with you. I don't want that to be a barrier. So yes, so we're wrapping up. I definitely want to make sure we're respectful of everyone's time. I want to thank you again, Ben, Taylor, for joining us today, and maybe just get some final thoughts on this, and maybe with one last question. What would you like veterans and military families to remember about mental health over the holidays?
I'll start. I would like veterans and their families to think about mental health throughout the holidays. It's part of life. Mental health should be part of our vocabulary. It should be something that we talk about naturally. It shouldn't be a stigma that we only talk about, behind closed doors. I want to talk about mental health like I talk about me going to the dentist or going to get blood work done. It should be part of our everyday vocabulary. Mental health, talking about mental health is safe. Having mental health in our vocabulary is safe. And reaching out to someone because you need help when it comes to mental health should be safe.
Exactly. And going off of that, Ben, is there's no weakness in asking for help. I know, me and me in particular, like Taylor said, I don't like asking for help. But I know when I get to that point that I do have support if needed. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like you said, we want to destigmatize that mental health word and let people know that it's normal. Everyone has mental health, just like, you got to go for our routine checkups. You should do routine maintenance of your mental health as well, and making sure you're taking care of yourself and getting that help that you need. So I agree for sure on that. Taylor, anything that you like to final thoughts on that?
Yep, I would echo it. I would just say mental health is a priority. You are a priority, and there are plenty of resources out there to help, and especially here at our Cohen Clinics.
Exactly. And your clinic in Alaska serves people across the whole state, correct? Or just
yes, across the whole state through telehealth, and we couldn't be more excited to be here.
Awesome. Yep, we're expanding. I didn't think we'd get up to Alaska, and we're there. So we're out there. Everyone, just please know that we are a resource for you. If anyone has questions, again, even if you just need to talk, we are here. We want everyone to know that we will, we understand mental health is important. We're here to help you get back to better and get your mental health on the right track, especially during the holidays. It can be very stressful. And just know that self-care and mindfulness of your mental health is important during that time. So if the resources are, if it needed, we are here, the Cohen Clinics. Please reach out to us. So on that note, thank you again, Ben, Taylor, for your time today. We really appreciate it. Thank you everyone for joining us, and everyone we know it's a busy week with the holidays coming up. So just thank you again for joining us today. I want to wish everyone a blessed, safe holiday. Merry Christmas. Y'all be safe with your family, and hopefully we will see everyone back for our next meeting, next seminar that we do. So with the Cohen's Veteran Network. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.